Peace, y'all. Mr. Bime here. I just wanted to make a relatively quick video about a couple of topics, namely the Vergil and Boots fight, potential Vergil Ortiz and Boots fight, and a little bit of review from the Erickson Lubin and Vergil Ortiz fight. And also I want to talk about a road for Gervonta Davis to come back, if he wanted to come back, if he's mentally healthy, assuming that he's all mentally there and he wants to fight and he's ready and he's locked in, assuming all of those things. But those are the two topics I want to talk about real quick. But I want to say first that, credit to Vergil Ortiz. Nobody really expected him to dominate Lubin in the way he did. Obviously, punch resistance was an issue for Lubin, and some people did suspect that that would be it, like, punch resistance. He took a beating from Fundora. He was able to drop Fundora, but at the same time, and remember that was some punishment that he took in that fight. And even though he had fights that he fought after that and won, I think one of them were a close decision. I forgot the guy's name. I think it was Ramirez, or I forgot the guy's name that he fought. But obviously there's levels to it. And Vergil is younger, stronger, and punch resistance again was a problem for Erickson Lubin. And he hung on the ropes. It looked like he was stunned from the very beginning and didn't know how to make the adjustment. And Vergil just basically came on strong. I was expecting that to happen much later on in the fight, but it happened. Credit to Ortiz, and he stepped up to the occasion. And obviously Boots dominated his opponent a couple months ago, and he made his way down there. And that's part of what I want to talk about, those pivotal moments that an opposing fighter shows up to a potential fighter that he wants to fight, their fight, and steps in the ring. It's part of what makes boxing entertaining. It has showmanship to it. So that's what the fans want to see. Fans would love to see that. Fans love to see stuff like that. And to make that segue, into the next topic about Tank making his comeback, or Tank having a clear view, it would be relatively easy. It's all about charisma. It's all about personality, as a lot of people are seeing. Or speaking of that, a lot of people have been talking about with Devin Haney and Brian Norman Jr. People liking Brian Norman Jr.'s personality, and the things that he say, witty, and quick on his thoughts in the face-off. Like, say for instance, Boots went into the ring and grabbed the mic and said, how would y'all like to see me and Vergil down here? We pack out this stadium, and you make your fans grow in that regard to a certain degree. Everybody's gonna know your name. You in Texas, you in enemy territory, and it shows, a level of bravery, and that's what people like, and boldness to challenge him in his hometown and give him an offer he can't refuse. So you put the pressure on his team to, come with it. Now you see the excuses, or you see the posturing for bread. I didn't want to say excuses, because that's all it's about. You see the teams going back and forth. All it is about is them posturing. It's all about the money. The promoters see the dollar signs. They just want to make the money. But, off rip, that's enticing to, and that would eliminate the Errol Spence talk stuff that they're talking. That's how I wish Boots came at it. That's what I'd be expecting Boots to do. Because he had his style of fight is like that. It looks like how, like that is, bravado and boldness and, head movement and go, hands down and pop, pop, a lot of his old fights, some of his old fights, he was doing that. So I guess that's what I expect him to do. And that's a tactic that Tank could use if he wanted to. He didn't get the $50 million bag or whatever, the big bag that he was going to get from the Jake fight, but maybe he could challenge himself and step in the ring after T.O. and Shakur fight, and then say, I'll be back up top to DC for Roach after I take care of this Crab and get this get this belt. I go back down to 135, and you set yourself up for two $20-30 million fights with your speech, with your, you know what I mean? That's just what fans want to see, and I wish fighters would take more note of that, especially some of my favorite fighters. That's what I would like to see, because that's what we saw back in the day and back in the 90s from some of our favorite fighters. They had a lot of chatter, and that's one of the elements in boxing that people like, showmanship. So that's an avenue that Tank, if he wanted to, could come back. But a lot of people say, oh, he don't want to challenge himself. He's not the type of guy. That's probably what he's trying to avoid. Not deal with he doesn't know how to deal with that pressure particularly. I don't know, but I know that there's an avenue where you could get that type of bag from real live fighters, from fighters that fight and got world championships. Because in my opinion, if you ask me, I think that's a tough fight for Tank T.O., but I think Timalifu, but I think Tank would get it done. I got confidence in Tank's style of fighting from what I've seen thus far. And everything don't got to be a knockout. So that's a way that Tank could come back if he wanted to, despite these allegations, despite everything that he's going through that's negative right now. I mean, assuming, because when you sit back and you look at things look so contrived and so set up, and it's just like, you wonder. I wonder, at least, do these dudes want to be great? Do they just want to get paid? Like, what do they say? What they mean and mean what they say in terms of them wanting to be the quote-unquote face of boxing, or believing they the best, or sitting down in an interview saying, yeah, he gonna get it. Do they really want to do that, or is that just them faking the funk? I wonder that a lot, for everybody, because everybody's shown their vulnerability in times that you might want to question that, including some of my favorites. So that's what I wonder, and that's what I want to say. That's an avenue that Tank could take if he wanted to. Great fights coming up. Looking forward to this Brian Norman Jr. and Daydream Haney fight. My prediction for that is that Haney gonna get knocked out in 8 or 9 rounds. But we'll see what happens.